And it was a tumbleweed moment for her. She's like, what? What's that?
Martin, how did you find carnivore?
Um, it was a slow, gradual process. Um, I started keto, and I did that primarily because I'd become a type 2 diabetic, which annoyed the hell out of me because I know it's completely reversible or preventable, having been a medic for my career. Um, so I got into doing keto because I wanted to reverse it. But the main issue was I now know I am Martin, I'm a sugar addict. And as a medic, I used to go to drug addicts and alcoholics, and they would always say, "You don't know what it's like." And I'd go, "No, I do." And when I say I'm a sugar addict, I was spending as much as a smoker or a drinker does on chocolate a day. I would get up in the morning and I would always be hungry and I would always have those sugar crashes. In fact, sometimes it would be so bad. Um, I couldn't really physically do my job as a paramedic because 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm like craving sugars and carbs. Um, so I took stock that I wanted to do something about it and I gave myself a goal. Um, I've always been a martial artist and I'd now taken up powerlifting and I needed to lose weight. So I went really strict keto and in a 7 month period lost 21 kilos. And I got to say, I look good. Um, I got ripped. I got abs, but I'd done it because I cynically wanted to get a world record at powerlifting. Um, so I'd competed at 90 kilos and I got for my age and weight, I got the world deadlift record at a competition um, at sub 75. And I was so chuffed. In fact, now I'm back and more educated and more aware. In the next few years, now that I'm in my 60s, I want the record for bench press, but that's an even bigger cut. Of which all my friends are saying, "Do you think you can do it, or is that healthy?" Well, yeah, it is. I'm currently my BMI at the moment is like 30%, and we can argue about BMIs all day long. I love it when I go for cardiac screening. The nurse says, "Oh, your BMI is a bit big. You're obese." I lift my t-shirt up and go, "Six pack." You know, I'm chunky. Um, so yeah, I started keto, and I like cooking, which helps, and I love prepping food. And then I became a bit of an evangelicus, yeah, whatever the word is, on station. You'd see, we're educated people and we're supposed to be healthy. And my friends would be eating white bread with processed hams and cheeses in them. I'm like, how can you put that in your body? And I'm prepping like steak strips and making a keto relish sauce to go with it. And everyone was always say, how do you do it? You always have lovely food. And it's just a question of, I choose to really. I choose to do this. Um, However, that was, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. I did fall off the wagon 2 years ago because life gets in the way. And this is one of the things I say to so many people I meet. You're allowed to fall off the wagon. You're allowed to have off days. Um, not all the time. And now I'll caveat that. I never have off days now when it comes to sweets and sugar because I cannot control it. I know if someone puts a bar in front of me and says, help yourself, well, it's gone, isn't it? I cannot control that part of my addictive personality. However, I know Easter's coming up. I will have an Easter egg. I will not go through my life. And I know I'll feel crap afterwards, but it keeps me going right now. Um, but 2 years ago, two bad things happen in life. Some people get them once or twice, but I had two on the same day. Um, and I bloated back up to, and it was a bloat, to over 90 kilos again. And then again, last summer, 2024, I did a 2-week motorbike camping tour around Europe with 3 friends. Now, I used to live out in Germany. My father was in the forces, and I know what the food's like. Uh, I cannot believe how much weight I put on in 2 weeks. But I think that, and then that just highlights just how toxic carbs are to you, because they just suck every fat cell up with water. And I went away healthy, and I came back with 2 more buttons undone on my trousers. But the cakes were lovely, and then I was back into it. And now I also made a life choice back then. I gave up everything. I now live in this van. And it's so much easier when you're in the middle of nowhere. Like today will be a shop day. And it is strange how you now retrain your mind. I go into the shops, and out of the 30 aisles, there's only 2 I can go down. There's the meat section, and then there's cheese and cream, double cream. So I will stock up on steak, butter, eggs, double cream, because sometimes, and I've really started to restrict that because that's so calorie high, but I like to cook my steaks. I season them, and then a bit of garlic, cream sauce, and it's just friends. If I go around friends' houses, they'll join in, and I'll go, "Oh wow, that's good." Um, but I will have those moments once a month. I'll do a keto meal. I like experimenting. I think for people like me who still have that craving, um, I will make the most amazing chocolate orange keto cheesecake, to which everyone goes, "How on earth is that possible?" But trust me, it's only 3 grams of carbs per slice. Uh, the same, I do make keto chocolate chip cookies. I make them sort of once a month, and I'll take 8 out with me when I leave a friend's house. And again, they're 3 or 4 grams of carbs. So they stick with my lifestyle, but predominantly uh, being carnivore and being mobile and a nomad, it is more cost effective. I'm a 1 meal a day guy. I I wait until sort of midday, maybe 1 or 2ish. The mornings I'm always out doing something. So, yeah, I'm normal. I might think about food, but I'll have a large steak in the afternoon, and that'll be it. And maybe around 5 o'clock, I'll have a boiled egg, hard boiled egg or 2. I now personally can't eat after 5 or 6 o'clock. And this is another reason I do what I do. Um, when I put on weight, you might want to edit this one out. I started waking up vomiting in my sleep. I have a weak cardiac sphincter muscle on my stomach. And as soon as I put on weight, it's mainly visceral, and it puts so much pressure on. And it really is horrible. I don't wake up thinking I'm going to be sick. I don't wake up feeling I'm sick. I wake up choking. And if anything, if ever there's a wake up call from your body to say you need to take stock of this, that would be it. Um, so being carnivore, being my ideal weight, has basically saved me. And I'm now not just not on meds. I even had my doctor on my previous cardiac screening phone up, and normally it's the cardiac nurse telling me off because my blood sugars had started to rise in my 40s. And she said, "We got your results back, and I'm intrigued. You're not even borderline diabetic. You're just not diabetic at all. You're nowhere near it. But last year you were type 2. What are you doing?" And I said, at that point, I said, "I've gone on a keto diet." And it was a tumbleweed moment for her. She's like, "What? What's that?" So I sent her the Low Carb Down Under YouTube channel, all those doctors in Australia. Um, and and it is nice to see that we've even got doctor academics in this country. There's a YouTube channel from some doctors up north in England who are now transitioning all of their type 2 diabetic patients onto keto or zero carbs and being carnivore. I think, and again, with your channel and the way people like you are shouting out about it, we're waking up to the fact that since the late 70s, early 80s, we've been lied to wholesale by everyone. Um, and you just, I have a partner who, you know, I she likes bread or she likes certain foods, and even my close friends, I go, but look at the ingredients. Bread should be flour, eggs, milk, yeast, and you've got 50 ingredients in this loaf of bread. What are you doing? You cannot go through life putting that rubbish into yourself. And when I was training lots years ago, before I even came across this, so I was competitive in my sport in my 20s and 30s, and I would eat clean then, clean by those days standards, not by ours now. And I would say, well, it's like putting crude oil in a Ferrari. Not that I viewed myself as a Ferrari, but I was an international competitor in martial arts. Um, you've got to put the right fuel in your body to live. And now that's more important than ever. So I'm now 60. For the last few years, I was plagued with plantar fasciitis and chronic back and knee pain. And although I still have the occasional blip in my feet and my knees still hurt, my back pain's completely gone. It just takes me longer. I think it's because my brain's actually caught up with the fact that I'm 60 now, rather than thinking I'm 18, I'm indestructible. And like yesterday, I went out for what I call a jog and a walk, backpack, wanted to have a swim in a lake, but it was a bit too muddy. And it takes me half an hour to warm up. But once I am warm up, I can take the backpack off and I can then do sprints. I'd never have done that if I hadn't found carnivore. I just think with all those toxins in your body, you can't function the way you want. And then talking about functionality and clarity, the other, and it could be psychosomatic, but one of my other avenues, I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist, qualified in that about 7 years ago, having struggled with my mental health all my life. And I have a very eclectic personality disorder. Um, with my mindfulness and my diet, I have become the person I've always wanted to be. I am clear in my thought. I am kinder to myself. Now, is that a process of eating kindly towards myself? Or is that a byproduct that once you get rid of the toxins, your brain functions a bit better? Those ketones are going to the brain. And I no longer have anger with anything. Some of us are clumsy, and I always remember I used to drop things and I'd be so angry, and it would really restrict my happiness levels for about 3 days. And now I drop something and I just smile. If something breaks, I'm just like, oh, that's life. Um, because I'm not focused on that hit day, not just day after day, but moment by moment. I had a colleague years ago, one of my best crewmates, and he would come in for a night shift and not eat. And I was like, and I reflect on this still. That's 12 hours on the road overnight, and he wouldn't eat a thing. And I was just like, how is that physically, humanely possible? And now, like Sunday to Monday, I do a 36-hour fast every week, and I'm not hungry. Yeah, carbs at the death of us.
It's it's amazing how it's so easy to go for an extended period without food when you haven't been feeding yourself stuff that is so addictive for a long time, right?
Oh, I I've set myself free from being chained to that never-ending cycle, uh, and I still get cravings. They will never go, like any alcoholic or smoker or drug addict. I know now that'll be a part of me. Um, I am looking forward to Easter far more than I should. Um, and that'll be an interesting one for psychologists to go, well, you don't need it. Why not get to Easter and not have it? And I think that would be a lovely thing. Um, but I know the egg I want. And as soon as I've eaten it, I will think, I shouldn't have done that. I didn't need it. And it's given me no benefit. So this is an interesting one. Maybe check back with me the week after Easter to see if I did it. Because it's like a hit, isn't it? And it's also a higher level of hypocrisy because I teach people the art of urge surfing. So I deal with addiction as a hypnotherapist and I deal with it myself. So later today, I might think, oh, I really could do with some chocolate. And I now drop and do 25 press ups. When I was at my peak of coming off sugars, this technique of urge surfing is right. I really want that sugar. I want that bit of bread. I want that carb. So you set your stopwatch or timer for an hour. Now we can all cope with an hour's not having something. But at the end of that hour, if it's a silent alarm, you'd have genuinely forgotten and got on with your day. And that's such a powerful little technique. Um, so am I now going to reframe how much I'm looking forward to Easter? Yeah, damn. And now I've said this publicly. So, that's Easter out the way, isn't it? That's not fair.
Well,
Dave, what have you done to me?
yeah, that's all my fault now. Um,
Yeah.
so so like the period of time you've been just carnivore, accepting the occasional treat, like how long has carnivore been?
Um, this time it's been a solid 6 months. But when I went keto 5, 6 years ago, I then went into carnivore without realizing I was just purely carnivore. And I did it purely because it's the lazy way to live. You know, I don't have to think about things. I know what I like, and I get people saying, "But don't you get bored of it?" I think until you've tried pure carnivore, you don't realize just how fulfilling and satisfying it is. I sit down every day, and just before I bite into my steak, which I have blue, um, I'm thinking, "Oh, will this satisfy me?" And before I've got to the end, I'm satisfied. I just, um, and it was so I did carnivore, and then I started adding things purely because I was still um, on the road as a working paramedic, and then during lockdown, I actually had to shield due to a disease I didn't have, which is really odd. But my local uh, doctor's practice had made a mistake on one of my medical records, and I lived under the impression that I had stage 3 kidney disease. So the ambulance service said, "No, you got a shield." So I had a wonderful year at home. Just like, thank you. Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, I did remote work for them via a laptop, but it was trickier then to get the diet that I needed because I like to source my own food. So that's when I sort of came off it and went more keto. And then, like I say, 2 years ago, life just imploded. Um, Bad things happen at times, and it's how you then move on and deal with it. So yeah, I took comfort in food, and I think that sometimes you have to make that a necessity because let's face it, we are hunter gatherers, and the reason there are carbs out there are autumn fruits and berries, which are so highly addictive. We eat them to fatten up for winter. You look at the biology of it; it just makes sense. Um, but now we live in a world where we are going to get food in the winter, so you don't need those carbs.
So you're just doing like one meal a day. Um, what do people around you think about this? So they like do they look at you like you're crazy?
Yeah, yeah, they do, and especially like last weekend at this gala do. So starved myself through the day because the meal wasn't going to be at least until 6:30. Um, long speeches. Let's make that 8:30. Um, and the starter was salmon on a lovely salad base, but I just ate the salmon. And someone on the table said, "Are you not eating your greens?" And I said, "I'm a carnivore." That's like turning around to the vegans and say, "Are you not going to eat your steak?" Um, then the two guys on me cottoned on either side. So when the beef came out, the potatoes and veg disappeared off my plate with zero remorse from my friends. Um, and people are inquisitive. I stayed at a friend's on Sunday night. Their family had burgers and things, and I just cooked my steak up. And Phil does ask, he asks why I do it, but they appreciate. I think most people who know me think I do it because I'm a little bit quirky, but when they get down to it, they realize the health benefits I've gained from it. I'm probably the healthiest out of my whole cohort of friends my age. In fact, I am certainly the healthiest out of my cohort of friends my age. 4 weekends ago, I was at a summit for all the English masters and grandmasters in my martial art. And in my age demographic, I certainly had to be in the fit group. But I am finding resistance. In 2 weekends' time, or even this weekend, there'll be a meal put on for the officials, and they give you an option for lunch. And they've got vegan, gluten intolerant, everything you can eat. And then you write down, I did this last year, any special dietary requirements. And I write carnivore. No, not catered for. You go up to get your meal and they give you everything. And I said, look, I don't eat anything other than meat. Could you take the veg off and give me extra meat? No, not at all. Although last year I did go for a pub lunch and I ordered the steak and I said to the waitress, I said, look, I only eat carnivore. So please just tell the chef I don't need any of the veg. Bingo, I got 2 steaks. He gave me two. Didn't charge extra, just said, well, if you're not having the veg, have another steak. Ah, big up that pub. I know,
Right, that's awesome.
I was really, it's the small things. I thought, oh, yay, brother or sister. um, you know, it's just wonderful. But yeah, there's a real uphill struggle. And I'm at another banquet. It sounds posh, doesn't it? But it's only that these three events have happened all over a period of 3 weeks. So I'm at an international martial arts event over in Wales in a couple of weeks. And again, at the banquet, they won't cater. I've written carnivore down and I very much doubt that that will be catered for. But all we can do is educate people. And it's not a dig at the vegans, right? It's just, I feel I've gone out of my way to educate myself on what is healthy for me. And if we look back to the early 70s when the American Sugar Corporation got their teeth into Congress, and then we came up with that food pyramid, that's when it all went wrong. It just, I look, I mean, last week, do you have the chocolate bar Kit Kat over where you are?
Yeah, we've got every flavor of Kit Kat imaginable in Japan.
Okay? They're doing a breakfast cereal now called Kit Kat. I mean,
Are you
yeah,
serious?
yeah, I really am. I stopped in the shop last week and I'm like, they cannot be serious. You are selling chocolate sweets to kids for breakfast.
What's the selling point for parents? Like low
I have,
cholesterol or something?
I have no idea, but there was a really good comedy series in the UK 15, 20 years ago called The IT Crowd. Um,
Oh, yeah.
very witty. And one morning, the female character comes down and says to Moss, "What are you eating? Are you eating Smarties? I didn't realise they don't. They do a cereal." And he goes, "They're not. They're just Smarties in a bowl with milk." And that just epitomised. Although to me, I was like, "I've got to try that." And in all honesty, I did. Um, yeah, there can be no health benefit to those cereals. And for those interested in just how bad breakfast cereals are, go down the rabbit hole of Kellogg's and the company. That's are you aware of that one? Have you looked into that one, Dave?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Kellogg's
What
story's insane.
it is insane, it really is. But that was what we were brought up with in the late 70s and early 80s. Everyone had it. I remember because I was brought up sort of mixed race, and I was brought up in a very European, and then I grew up in Hong Kong in the 60s. We were brought up on sort of bacon and eggs at first, and then fish. And then it's only when we moved back to the UK that my parents started feeding us Kellogg's. Um, it's just wrong. It's just, and that's why I like to talk about it. You know, I talk about it on my YouTube channel, and I also have links for it in my podcast. Um, although I'm less evangelical about that because the podcast I have is about meditation, mindfulness, and I'm open to everyone living the life they want. I just want to help with how they think, feel, and react.
Yeah, you don't want to put too much pressure on your listeners when you're about to get them to meditate.
No, no, I don't. I don't. I sometimes put links in it. Um, I'm open. You know, I have at the weekend. I was with an old friend who's mainly vegan. I don't know how we square this, but has fish. Right. Whatever that subset is, and also politically, we're just either side. Neither's right or wrong, and it's lovely that we can get together and debate and talk about our lifestyles. Now, for me, I think he's not wrong, but not right. Okay. I would never say someone's wrong intrinsically, but it's been healthy for him. It works for him. And he's 50 and looks late 30s. You know, so it obviously works. And he appreciates that. I mean, he could never eat meat, um, but he really appreciates the health benefits he sees in me, you know, and how it's impacted my life in so many positive ways. So we don't have to fall out with people, but I do like to tell people why I do it. And biological history is that we are primarily carnivores. Yes, we're omnivores, but primarily we have at our disposal about 90,000 calories when we're fat adapted to hunt and chase down prey, to not eat for 3 or 4 days whilst we're trying to catch prey, and then to eat as much meat as we like and fat. And then we've got the energy. But as soon as we settled down and went carbs, well, we can't do that, can we? You know, um, the benefits are just incredible. And I used to, it's like, I will diverge. Before the plantar fasciitis, I used to do long distance running. I'd think nothing of going out for a 2 or 3 hour jog just because I enjoyed it. And on the running forums, the most asked question is, how do you carb load or what do you take on your long runs? And this one really gets them every time. And I would do a fasted overnight, get up at 6, run for 2 to 3 hours, and still not eat until midday. And I'd say, I take nothing. Those runners are saying that they need gels. However, when you're on carbs, you have at your disposal about 4,000 calories, and hence you hit the wall unless you refuel. But if you're fat adapted, if you're in ketosis or a full-time carnivore, you've got 90,000 calories of fat store in you, and I can run and run and run and not get leg cramps the next day. And that just shows what our bodies are supposed to be doing. It's just it's so obvious, I feel, and it's only people who are so tied in and committed to their belief system. And this is coming from someone who is absolutely addicted to carbs. We'd train around it. go to martial art competitions and then powerlifting competitions with a family pack of Snicker bars so that I didn't crash because I couldn't function without them. It's just, in the early days of being a paramedic, when we weren't hammered hand to fist with 12-hour shifts and being out all the time, um, you might be asleep at 3 in the morning. You might get your head down and the alarm would go off. We would then go out at 3 in the morning and I'd get a sugar crash and I'd need to eat. And that's not right. It's not natural and it's certainly not healthy. And also, you can't think straight, especially, 3 or 4 in the morning. It's never going to be a good job. You need to be really switched on. And I feel now totally, I'm alive every day. I now get out of bed. The plantar fasciitis isn't there. My knees only hurt a bit when I start jogging, but they warm up. No back pain. I'm training, I'd say, harder than ever and focused and committed to my goals. Hence, January, for the first time in my life, I managed full splits. Not bad at 60. And that's just constant commitment. Because here's the other bit, I always eat the gristly bits and the collagen on the meat because that is the best form of collagen you can get for your body to keep everything moving. Ah, yeah,
Sorry,
carnivore.
you said splits?
Yeah, yeah, full
You can
splits.
do the splits?
Yeah, yeah. I'll send you a photo.
Just thinking about it hurts.
No, it's just, um, I've no, I've not always been naturally flexible, but during lockdown, um, a martial arts friend over in Ireland committed to doing it. And he was the least flexible person. And he just committed to 10 to 15 minutes every day, 1 minute one side, 1 minute the other, then change, just holding it, not in pain, just as deep as you can go. And in 6 months, had the full splits and put a photo up. And I thought, why? I've always got close, about that far. But yeah, I'll send you the photo after this. And yeah, full
Yeah,
splits.
that'd be awesome. Yeah, so if you were giving someone advice about starting carnivore, what would you tell them to do?
Um, if they're going to find it tricky, I would go keto first for a month, okay? Because you can make things taste the way you're used to. I think we fail if we, it's like New Year's resolutions. Uh, Don't think of it as a resolution. Think of it as a happy, healthy challenge and allow yourself to have those moments, maybe once a week. Have a cheat meal as you're going into it. The goal isn't to change yourself like that overnight. The goal is to extend your life, be happy, be healthy. So I don't beat myself up if I fall off the wagon. So yeah, I have friends who try it and I say, well, just do 2 or 3 days of keto. The goal isn't to be in ketosis. The goal is to realize you can enjoy this dietary lifestyle. It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle choice. And then maybe next month, do 4 days a week. Because I realize as humans, there's only like 1% who can go, right, I'm going to do this and do it. Of which, in a way, in some aspects, I am like that. When I'm focused, that happens. Like this summer, it's back to being ripped, back to being having a six pack. Why? Just for me. I'm not showing it off to anyone. But in my own view, that is healthy. I don't need that fat on me. But yeah, I have friends who've done it slightly. And then after a month of doing keto, do a couple of days of pure carnivore. All right. Once you find a meat you like, and you will realize, oh, I didn't need the veg on the side. You don't need them. They're just, I don't know, fluff food, aren't they? They're a
It's
thing.
decoration.
They are a decoration. Absolutely. And if you need decoration, find another bit of meat to fry up. But I like being creative. I like, obviously we eat grass-fed steak, and you eat things like this and you think, how on earth is this healthy? But it is. It's saturated fats. It's animal products which we are biologically geared to break down and make into healthy human beings with happy thoughts. Um, and I think the more my friend circle, my martial arts circle, see that I do this, the more they realize, oh, yeah, it makes sense. And on my van life channel, I get comments now saying, oh, I really like that you do carnivore as well. So there are more and more coming round to realizing this is what we should be doing.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so speaking of that, how can we find you online?
Oh, um, I was going to say you type in my name and it kind of have the first 3 pages of Google, but then on page 2 or 3, there's a really bad Martin Hewlett out there. I am not that one. So the podcast is Calming Anxiety, but my YouTube channel with my eclectic beard is all one word. It's Only Vans Guru. Um, and that started last November after a joke with friends. Someone said, but you need your OnlyFans site. And I just went, more like OnlyVans. And then I'm like, oh, I went onto Google to see what URLs were available. And there it was onlyvans.guru. And seeing as I teach meditation and mindfulness, I just thought, buy that, £1.50. Then straight away onto YouTube, typed in at OnlyVansGuru. No one's got it. Nail that. And then November the 22nd, launched my YouTube site. And as of this morning, well, last night I was on 991 subscribers, that magic 1,000. This morning, 998. 3 people have left me. I will find you. But yeah, so my YouTube channel is just me sharing my mindful journey around the UK with my healthy passion for cold water swimming and my carnivore lifestyle.
Nice. And I didn't make the connection between when I heard only vans at first, but now I make
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
connection.
yeah.
So I'll link to all those in the show
Thank
notes.
you.
Martin, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Dave, thank you from thousands of us, right, for what you're doing for this movement. We're going to make the world a much healthier place. We need more channels like you. And to everyone that's watching, just share Dave's channel to your network. That's how it works. All right. We're all in this together. Thanks, Dave.